Good evening. I hope you're enjoying the readings. We are in chapters 4, 5, and 6 of 2 Kings now. We're going to continue with the story of Elisha, and we're going to see some pretty famous miracles that he did. One thing to note, it seems like that pretty much he copies many of the miracles that Elijah did, but it seems like there's always something a little bit extra about what he does. And I think it's this idea that he has a double portion of Elijah's spirit on him. One thing I meant to mention yesterday, and I didn't do it, was that you realize how little we know about Elijah. There's only a few chapters and a few stories about Elijah, yet he had such a prominent position. Remember, John the Baptist, it comes as Elijah, one that's coming back. Elijah's the one at Pentecost every year when they're doing the Jewish people are doing the Seder meal. They're expecting Elijah to come. And so he had such a prominent role, but yet there's so little known about him. Not going to go into the details in chapter 4, but you're going to see the widow's oil. Remember, Elijah had oil continue to flow to feed the widow and himself and her son. This one's a little different. The widow is about to lose everything. So he says, go get all the bowls you can get, borrow bowls from your neighbors, get everything you can, fill it with oil, and then sell it. And this one little cruse of oil is going to fill all those bowls. He's going to sell it. That's going to be enough to pay off the debts, and it's also going to be enough for them to live on. So then after that, he talks about the Shunammite woman who has, she and her husband are wealthy, but they don't have any children. And so he tells her in her old age she's going to have a child. And then later on that child gets sick and he has to be raised the same way that Elijah did. Elisha raises him. We're introduced to Gehazi, his servant in there, and that's going to become important in the next chapter. And then at the end of chapter 4, we have Elisha feeding 100 people with just a very small amount of food. You see things that are starting to be foreshadowing of Jesus, the same types of miracles that Jesus is going to do. And that's important because when Jesus is doing these miracles, these people know about Elijah and Elisha, which is why when Jesus says, "Who do people say I am?" some people say, "Well, you're Elijah." And so you start to see that Jesus is building on the foundation of these prophets to demonstrate just how powerful he is, and he does even more than they did, which is why he expects people to understand better. Chapter 5, very, very famous story. Naaman, the Syrian, has leprosy, and he goes down, and Elisha tells him go dip 7 times in the Jordan River, and he gets upset and says, "That's crazy. I got better rivers than this stinky Jordan." And his men say, you know, if the Lord asked you to do something big, you'd have done it. Why not just do this? And he does, and he's healed. But Elisha won't take any of the payment that Naaman has brought. And then Gehazi runs after him and decides on his own he'll take some of it. And he gets it. Naaman's very happy to give it to him. And then he comes back, and Elisha says, not only are you getting the payment, you also are going to get the leprosy. And we see that again. Chapter 6, we see a situation where Elisha makes an axe head float. Then the Arameans are attacking them, and the Lord blinds them, and then Elisha takes them into the city. And an interesting thing there, what he does, he demonstrates a forgiveness of them that you don't see in much of the passages we've been reading. But he takes them in, and the king says, "Should I kill them?" And he says, "No, have a feast for them." So they had a feast for them, and then they sent them home just fine. Very, very interesting. Again, a little foreshadowing of the idea of forgiveness. Things that we don't see a whole lot when we're seeing the battles between the Moabites and the Israelites and all that kind of good stuff. So I hope you enjoy reading these passages. Elisha is a very interesting character, and we'll read more about him in the next session. So I hope you have a good day, and God bless you.